HannahMouse1 here. So I watched the Barbie movie and wanted to give you my thoughts, and there will be spoilers, so proceed with caution. In a sentence, Barbie is the most entertaining 2-hour advertisement that I've ever watched. So I guess it beat out the Emoji Movie. No, but really, it was a lot of fun, despite the fact it was unashamedly shilling for Mattel. It felt like some writers just got incredibly intoxicated and created the craziest insanity they could come up with given the source material, in all the best ways. I loved moments like when it interrupted the film to run an advert for depressed Barbie, which was hilarious. I love how it acknowledges how insane it is that in this universe there are countless Barbies, dozens of Kens, and an Alan. I love the little details that reminded you that these are really toys, like how the inside of the fridge is just a painted picture, or the way that the car flipped over in the most over-the-top manner, or when Alan suddenly became a super fighter, because who hasn't taken a random toy and committed a toy massacre? It certainly kept me smiling. Also, the music is incredible. A lot of these songs have found their way onto my playlists, and that really sells the movie for me. Something that was a little hit or miss for me was the self-awareness of the whole thing. Like, it was funny to an extent, but at the same time it felt a bit, I don't know, disingenuous at times. I think the Mattel board was the most obvious example of this because they use it to highlight all of the flaws of the company in a way that's funny, but also like, so you know it's an issue, are you gonna do anything about it? Another one is the joke when Barbie's having an existential crisis about how she no longer looks stereotypical Barbie perfect, and they call out how Margot Robbie is the wrong person to cast to make the point. On one hand, yes, if anyone is stereotypical Barbie beautiful, it's Margot Robbie, and it's a sort of offhand joke that a reviewer might make and it wouldn't raise an eyebrow. And yes, I laughed when I first heard the line, but having the film call it out kinda sends the wrong message for me. Like, if you aren't as good looking as Margot Robbie, then it's okay or even correct to feel like you aren't good enough. Or if you are that conventionally attractive, then the negative, intrusive self-talk that we all, Margot Robbie included I'm sure, get from time to time is invalid. Are either of these ideas that we want to press on an audience in a society where the unattainable beauty standards makes these sorts of bad body image days all too common? But I digress. My favourite part of the film was actually Ken's storyline, and can we please acknowledge the fact that The Notebook came out in 2004, making it older than I am, and that Ryan Gosling is still playing the hapless boy toy love interest and has hardly aged a day? Like, what is his secret? My god. I mean, if it took all of society becoming a patriarchal madhouse where all women are mindless servants to their male overlords for Ryan Gosling, or Simu Liu for that matter, to play a guitar at me while shirtless, would I say no? Joking, obviously. And I know it's an odd concept in a film about living dolls, but Ken definitely felt like the most human character to me. The moment that hit me hardest was when he was repeating Barbie's own words back to her by saying things like, every night is boys' night, or that it's not Barbie's Mojo Dojo Casa house. And you can see that a moment that was played for a laugh earlier in the film was genuinely hurtful, and it's a reminder that our words and actions have consequences. Proof that Ken is neither a 2D comedic villain nor a complete doormat, and it's overwhelming evidence that Ryan Gosling is way too talented for this role. I will say, I thought that the ending of the film was interesting. Like, they could have had Barbie Land end as a more genuinely utopian society where the Kens and Barbies are actually equal, but instead they went with a pointed, snide, we'll do unto the Kens as men have done unto us in the real world scenario, as though the repression of the Kens isn't exactly what fueled their takeover earlier in the film. Which is interesting to me because Barbie Land is kind of supposed to be the utopia, in a way at least. That's how Barbie sees it at the start of the film, and while the events of the film prove her wrong, they decided to go for a step in the right direction approach rather than fixing it outright. And Barbara Hun, not really sure what you actually expect the gynecologist to do considering that you quote unquote don't have a vagina. I don't want to be offensive to anyone in the trans community or anything, and I know that reconstructive surgery is pretty incredible, but considering Barbie's goal is clearly motherhood, I'm skeptical about it giving someone with 0 reproductive organs fertility, unless her transition to being a human also gave her a uterus. There's also what, since No Way Home, I've thought of as the Peter Parker problem, wherein if a person didn't previously exist on record, either because a master of the mystic arts erased them from existence, or because they were a doll in Barbie Land, how can they just integrate back into society without qualifications or a social security number or whatever? How do they buy a house or get a job? Who's footing the bill for Barbie's gyno appointments with the American healthcare prices being what they are? Is she just gonna mooch on Gloria's sofa as a stay-at-home Barbie girl because because, as highlighted by Ken earlier in the film, getting a decent job without any formal education or, record of your existence is far from a walk in the park. Needless to say, this film really isn't intended for critical thought per se. It's just a watch, enjoy, and don't overthink kind of dealio. And as for the Barbenheimer trend, it's an odd one, but I love what it did for cinemas. I can't remember seeing the cinemas this busy since like Endgame. I have watched Oppenheimer, but I watched it on a separate day to Barbie, and to be honest, I have no idea how people did them back to back, especially if they did Oppenheimer first. Not gonna get too far into that. If you want to see a full Oppenheimer review, let me know in the comments. Also, everyone in the cinema for Barbie was wearing pink, and the idea of crowds of bubblegum-clad cinema goers watching a gritty World War II drama is oddly entertaining for me. But apart from that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. It lets me know that this is something you want to see more of. Comment down below any other films you'd like to see me review, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!